Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today begins the second weekend and officially part 2 in the bed slide build. So if you were here last week for part 1, you would have known I finished off that video trying to approximate the sort of radius of curvature of these two. They're not really circular or regular. I was trying to figure out ways to do that, and I think over the week I've racked my brain and come up with a really cheap, easy way of doing it without leaving the house, needing to buy any more tools. Essentially what I'm going to do, since the virus has us all staying inside, I'm not trying to leave, I'm going to use this sheet of aluminum foil and then fold it over a bunch of times and get about a strip that wide that will basically hold the shape when I lay it into that truck and then come back, translate it onto the wood, cut it out. We should see a pretty good fit. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this up and show you what I mean. Okay, so the key here is to fold it in half a whole bunch of times. We have that big wide sheet, just fold it on top of itself a whole bunch. It becomes about 1-2 millimeters thick and about the width of 3/4 inch plywood. So what I'm going to do is lay this guy into the truck bed, and I'll bring you guys up there for that next and show you exactly what I mean and how it kind of holds the shape. I'll just gently lay it back, trace around it on the wood, and we should be good to go. Alright guys, we're in here in the bed, going to be using this piece of aluminum that I've folded over on itself several times to act as a sort of measure for this irregular curve I have in the wheel well down here. So without further ado, let's just get to it and press it in. I think I want the support to go somewhere about here. And I'm trying to do this with one hand. I'll press this in and then I'll come back to show you the final shape here. 1 second. Okay, I've got it pressed. I'm gonna let this slide out now and we'll trace this onto a sheet of paper. Go grab a piece of paper and we'll trace it. Okay guys, I am up here in the bed. I've gotten the piece of paper I was using traced and cut out. Now we're going to go ahead and take this paper template over to our plywood and start going on it. It's got to be 7 1/4 deep, and then that'll be the 7 1/4 deep here. And then this will be the corner profile. So we'll go ahead and get to it. Alright guys, back here with you. We've got the piece cut out now. I guess I'll move over to the truck bed. It's a little bit more contrast. Here we go. We got the piece cut out now. Simple jigsaw to come around the corner after tracing it from the paper. 7 1/4 inches wide. Let's hop up in here and see how this fits, if at all. Hopefully it fits okay. I haven't checked it yet myself, so you guys are following along with me here real time as to whether or not this will slide in here. Hopefully this will be a decent test of the aluminum foil jig. And rests in there. Oh wow, that is better than expected. First time, no sanding. Much better than it used to be. Sits flush, holds things in place there. Oh, I am so pleased with this. So with a bit of aluminum foil lying around the house, I think the next one I might pull off a longer piece, make it a little bit thicker. It's a little bit easier to trace that way. I will be able to do the next 3, I suppose. There's one here. Essentially what I'm going to do is one there, one there, one here. We've already got this one in place. I've already got the far one in place, so I've got a total of 4 cross braces supporting this. And once I get this one done, screwed and glued, I'm going to go ahead and move over to here and get this side done. But what needs to happen once I get those, these 4 cross pieces in place, I got to figure out where exactly. I mean, I've designed this whole thing in SketchUp, and I'll have, like I said on the first part, plans for it for free. Just kind of the idea. I'm sure you'll have to tweak everything to the size of your own bed If you have a 07 to 13 Silverado, you won't. It's already the right size for you. But what I'll be doing next is figuring out where vertically and horizontally within this area, probably right about here, where I plan on drilling my eye hook. Because what I'm going to be doing is in this section here, and then in this section here, and then the same on the other side. Let me get the flash on so you can see it. There's these built-in tie-down points here and here. What I'm going to be doing is putting in an eye bolt here. It's going to be bolted through to this side. I just got to make sure it's not going to interfere with the rail height. You know, I plan on putting some roller bearings top and bottom of the rail in the drawer slide, so I got to make sure my bolt that's sticking out here isn't going to be in the way of the roller bearings. So I'll have a bit of a think about that, but what I'm going to be doing is probably putting an eye hook somewhere up in here, and then, you know, depending on the length of my turnbuckles, which I'll show you in a second, I'm going to be running a turnbuckle from here to the eye hook and then cranking it down real tight, pulling this piece in good and solidly. And each well, let's go take a look at them now. I'm just so enthused with how well that worked. I'm ready to go on this project all over again. These are the turnbuckles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. If you are, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what they're called. I got 4 of these, one for each corner. Each one holds 350 pounds, so we're going to be rated for about 1,400 pounds in terms of how much we can load this drawer with without it ripping out of the bed. I don't even know what these tie downs are rated for. Probably not 350 pounds a piece, maybe, but we'll see. I just didn't want this to be the point of weakness on this whole setup, so what I'm going to be doing, let me hop back up in here and show you. Okay. I'm going to be running this open hooked end here through this factory tie down, and then it's all the way closed at the moment. Running this into this closed end into an open eye bolt that I've got running through here, using some washers securing this in place that way. So I'll be doing that permanently, sort of, you know, I don't really plan on taking this out. I'll be running this permanently once I get my Lear cap on here. Since I'm not really running a bed cover at the moment, I'd rather not have these exposed to the elements, not finished, and don't want someone to come in and just try taking them out. So what I'm going to do next is, I guess what I'm going to do next is see if this is the same curve here. If it is, that would be amazing. Looks like life just got pretty easy here. This seems to fit in really, really nicely. Let's check and see the clearance down here. Yeah, not much gap. I mean, I'm sure there is a little bit of a gap down here. Again, that can go away when I spray this. No, I'm not going to spray that. I'm going to be coating everything with the Raptor liner to match this black of my spray-on bed liner, but I think what I'm going to do is leave the edges open. This is marine ply, or not marine ply, this is sand ply. It's meant for marine applications, boat building and such. So I'm not too worried about, you know, a little bit of moisture in here. You know, if I see puddles pooling in here, then I'll decide to maybe sand this down a little bit and Raptor line this stuff, but I don't think that'll be a problem with the truck cap. So all I have to do now is create another one of these, and then I'll be able to finish up this left side and get going on the right one. So I'll join you back at my workbench once I get a second one of these cut out, and I'll be screwing and gluing these to this guy. Alright guys, we've got the 2 pieces cut out and lined up, ready to be attached. They're just sitting here loose right now. I'm going to go ahead and attach those off camera just because, you know, I guess if you want to see me putting them on, going through the detail there and how I did it and what I did, go ahead and watch part 1 here. And I'll go ahead and just speed through this now because I don't want to do the same thing 2, 3, 4 times over. So I'll go ahead and meet you back up here once I got these guys attached. Alright guys, like I mentioned before, before I put the turnbuckles together, which you can see I've kind of used as a jig, I wanted to set up and kind of mock up where exactly this drawer is going to have to mount. The bottom of the drawer is going to be mounting, as you can tell, not flush with the bed here, because the tailgate doesn't lie flat. I wish it did. It doesn't. It lies up at an angle. You can kind of see that there. Right now the level is level. I've used the turnbuckle I have to secure everything as a wedge and some screws as a counterweight, just to get the level sort of pointed slightly above, maybe 1/8 of an inch above the end of the tailgate. You can see there's quite a rise. It's a little bit more than you might think. Let me go over the other side here. It's a little bit more than you realize here. So what I gotta do is account for that angle. I don't want the drawer to come out and then smash into the tailgate and not be able to open up. So I gotta mount the bottom of the drawer at least there. I'm thinking a little bit higher to account for any potential sag that might happen as it gets loaded with weight. I don't want it to be rubbing on this piece of plastic on this tailgate and not operate smoothly. So I'm going to mount it probably another almost 1/4 inch above that on the wood panel. That's where the bottom of the drawer will go, and the drawer slides slightly above that even. So but what the plan is once I get that mocked up, I'm going to be using a turnbuckle. This end will go to the factory mounts, and this end will bolt through the wood right about there. And I'll be back here with you when I'm starting to drill those holes, and also when I have an idea as to where I'm going to be mounting the drawer height-wise. Alright guys, we're back at the workbench. I thought I would catch you up on what I've been up to in the last maybe 40 minutes. I came over from the truck bed after figuring out where I wanted the eye hook to be. Go ahead and take you over there now. Essentially what I've got going on is I decided to come 1 5/8 down from the top edge, and then 3 1/8 over from this first wheel well support here towards the back. Drilled a 1/4 inch hole, got a 1/4 inch bolt, so it's kind of tight. I wanted it to be tight. I didn't want a lot of play considering this is going to be structural. Just kind of threaded it through. Again, this will come over here, and this end will hook onto the tie down in the truck, and then I'll turn this guy tight to fasten it down. Other thing I've been doing was kind of mocking up what it will look like. There's going to be an aluminum rail here. Let me go ahead and grab that. The rail will be physically attached to the sliding drawer and then slide back and forth, and the bearings will be affixed to this guy that we're looking at building right now. So back here now we've got sort of a mock-up top. We're going to put bearings top and bottom of the railing. It'll slide out. Hopefully that'll keep it from moving up and down and keep it smooth. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down and then take it back into the truck for a test fit where I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright, we're back in the bed. Obviously I'm going to be coming in here, right here, with a hacksaw, get rid of this guy, put some Loctite on here, probably swap these out for some much bigger washers, just because the wood is not a hardwood, it's plywood, and I want it to be, I mean, I can tell it's kind of depressing here. I want it to be a little bit more spread out. Turnbuckles kind of on, it's just resting in here, it's not securely fastened yet. I just wanted to show you how this operates. If you're not familiar with them, they're really cool. You just tighten this big thing here in the center, and the whole thing gets pulled together, and then you can hit it with a wrench when you get tight. Let me speed through this, and I'll be back with you when I tighten it with the wrench. Okay, so that's pretty much in there now. I don't want to hit it super tight yet because these washers, like I said, I want to come in something with maybe twice or 3 times as large as this on the surface area before I crank this down. But that's held in there. It's not going forward. What I want to do is now figure out the placement of the one in the back, and then once I get that in rather, it should be very, very tight. So I'll go ahead and undo this, pull it out, and then I'll show you what I mean. So this one, I'll keep it from sliding forward, obviously, and then out. But right now, it's pulling it back this way, and it's just wanting to pop up here. So once I have that one slid forward and tightened, it'll really keep it in place. So we're gonna do that, and then I'll give you guys a shot of how it's held in place with that one on there. Alright guys, welcome back to the bed. I've got this one and that one cranked down pretty hard. There's a couple of things that bother me about this setup. I want this thing to be heavy duty in every sense. I want this to be operable if I put a couple of backpacks in here. I want it to be operable if I have 400, 500, 600 pounds of whatever in here. That's why I have the 3/4 inch aluminum square tubing as a drawer slide rail. The first thing that I'm not super awesomely enthused about is this flexion you see here. Not a ton. I think a thicker washer will get rid of this. Flexion here is sort of bending. I haven't really done anything beyond hand tightening this guy, and it's flexing a fair bit. See the same thing on this one. Again, hand tightening. However, with it as it is hand tightened, that's just kind of all the pressure you need, because this is incredibly well secure. This isn't really going anywhere. I guess I can try pulling up on this bolt. So that's, there's a little bit of play here. I'd rather not have this kind of, it probably lifts up about 2 millimeters. I'd rather not have that. Again, this lifts up. And the other thing that really bothered me was at the end here, there's nothing securing this, and this one moves out a whole lot, maybe 1.5 centimeters. And looking down here, I just can't have this kind of movement. I think the issue would be when the drawer is fully opened. I only plan on having about 18 inches to 12 to 18 inches of the drawer sliding rail supported on bearings. I'm going to have a whole lot of bearings concentrated here to hold that weight, but I don't want the drawer to just lift this guy up. As you see, like, I'm only just using my arm here and my hand, and I don't want the weight of the drawer to just lift this guy up and warp this piece. So what I'm gonna be doing here to alleviate this issue, I'm gonna double up my turnbuckles and eye bolts and run another one pretty much right here through the same tie down and have it going this way to another eye bolt right here. I have the clearance for it. All I gotta do is get 4 more turnbuckles, 4 more eye bolts. It will alleviate some of the extra load on this guy and on this guy here, and it will even things out. It'll pull this guy in. It won't lift up hardly at all, I don't think. It will also vastly increase the weight capacity this thing can hold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill this out and put this turnbuckle here and the same thing up here. I'll show you guys. I'll just grab this one real quick. What I plan on doing is sliding this guy in there and then running another eye bolt probably right about here, hooking onto that, and that way it'll be another sort of 2 tie downs keeping it in place. All right, we're back up in the bed here, and we've got 2 additional turnbuckles in place with 2 additional eye bolts, and it is much more secure. If you see pulling up on this guy, really doesn't move all that much. Same deal with this guy. Go in and out with this piece. Can't do much. I think at most it'll flex. If you see it here, maybe that much. Well, still, if I pull from here, it does slide out a fair bit. So I think I may do a third in each of these areas, coming sort of through down to the middle here. Because it looks like I will have room for it. I'm going to have the track up here. The track will be here, bearings, top, bottom, and top of the track. I should have room for another eye bolt here. Alright guys, I'm back up in here next morning. Made a trip to Home Depot, got some more turnbuckles, had a chance to saw off the ends of these bolts. I'm going to go ahead and do this one next. I just wanted to test fit this in here and kind of show you what it fits like, and then I'll go ahead and create the second one and show you what both of them look like in here. But essentially, utilizing the factory tie down here, I've got 3 turnbuckles. The top 2 are rated at 350 pounds a piece. The bottom one, it's a shorter span, so I had to go for a little bit weaker. It's 150 pounds, but still it's 850 pounds of turnbuckle bracing power, I guess. And I know I'm not going to have 850 times 4 ever in here. That's more than my truck can haul, so I'm not too worried about it. Plus, I mean, the weakest part at this point is going to be the plywood, considering it's made out of wood. So I'm quite pleased that it's not going to be weak there at that joint. If I were to, having it braced front, back, and bottom, it doesn't wiggle at all anymore anywhere. This doesn't move no matter what I do. So it's not going anywhere. I got front and back. I'm going to do the other side as well. Quite pleased with how it's held in place now. The first turnbuckle just by itself wasn't enough. 2 turnbuckles was okay at best, but 3, some might think it's a little overkill, but if you want to put anything more than like a bicycle in it, it's kind of necessary in my opinion, if you want to really put any kind of a load in here. So I'll go ahead and cut off these bolt ends and then finish up the second one for this side of the bed here, and I'll be back with you when I'm done. Oh, and there's my dog Doogie. Okay guys, I am back in the bed after working all day yesterday on part 2 of my video build, and all day today, Sunday, on the build, and I've gotten both of the I guess sides of this drawer slide built. It's taken 12 turnbuckles, 12 clothesline hooks, and a whole lot of patience and a little bit of sanding. I will say, make sure when you're doing this second side, this piece here, that it's the exact same, it's on the exact same spot here in the bed as the first side, all the way down. So if it's right here, make sure it doesn't, kind of go peel off that way. I was working with that issue. That's why I had some sanding. I had to take a lot of this down here and here. It was sitting a little too far this way by about 3/4/16 of an inch, so I didn't want basically the drawer slide, the bearings to peel out that way and have the rail slide right off the back end of it. So I spent some time working on that. I still have a little bit more sanding, I think, on these two guys, but I wanted to get them sort of done and mounted today just to test the fit of everything, and really just proof of concept more so than anything else. I'm sure you can kind of see there's a bit of wiggle here. Again, that's reminiscent of or reflective of the sanding that I'm gonna have to do mostly on this guy here to pull this back a little bit. If we come over to this one, take a look down it. Still get a little bit of wiggle. Not super worried about this one. It's kind of more or less in the same spot the whole way down. But again, it's kind of the nature of the beast when you're working with a flexible material like wood rather than metal sheet or tubing. But as far as how this has turned out so far, I'm quite pleased. It's not going anywhere if I give this a good shake. I'm actually moving the truck before I move, wiggling the truck and wobbling the truck before that moves. So with the 3-point tie downs, I still gotta take these guys off. It'll take a couple of seconds with the hacksaw. I'll do that when I pull it out of the bed through the night. But I'm fairly pleased with how it's looking. Once I spray this, all the plywood surfaces with the bed liner, I think it will look really, really nice, almost stock even. In terms of look, I don't want someone to walk up and be like, oh, he's got a bunch of plywood in there. So I think with that, this wraps up officially part 2. Part 3, I'll be joining you guys next weekend here, and we're going to be doing, just starting sort of the plans for the actual sliding drawer, which I think for me is the fun part. This was really just the groundwork, kind of getting to see how everything might fit in here. But the best part for me is coming up here for part 3. So I'll wrap up part 2 here and see you next week.